Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community meeting. It is June 16, 2022, and on the agenda today, we're going to talk about add-on configurations. And thank you, Wei Liu and Q Jiang, for joining, and please take it away. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear?
Yeah.
me?
Yep.
Yeah, so the main motivation of this, starting from that, we have some requirement that we want to some add-on want the user to set the node selector and tolerations for the agent add-on agent deployed on the managed cluster. But currently we don't have that standardized mechanism. And the scope is expanded, that there are also requirements like in addition to the node selector and toleration, it may need the user to set other customized configurations for the add-on when the add-on agent is deployed on a certain managed cluster. So this is proposal about that. And Liu Wei, would you like to introduce a bit on this current idea?
Yeah, I think so. Let's share my screen. Okay, would you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I think I will go through the proposal and yeah. For this proposal, we want to introduce some ways to help add-on developers to configure their add-ons. So we think there are mainly two use cases. One is for if a user have an add-on and the user want to configure his all managed cluster add-ons, and the add-ons will share the same configuration. And the other case is for each add-on, the add-on has its own configuration. So we have two proposals for this. One proposal is we will enhance our current add-on APIs to support that. And the other proposal is we still use our current annotation to support this. I think I will go through the proposal one. Okay, here is the design details. Currently, we have a configure coordinators in the cluster management add-on. And when multiple add-ons share the same configuration, we can use the configure coordinators to refer to the add-on configuration. And currently, our current configure coordinators has CRD names and CR name. But we think the configure coordinators have some limiters. One limit is it only supports the CRD, and another limit is for add-on developers. It's not easy to locate the configuration object in their controllers or for their implementation. So we want to refactor the configure coordinators to this. After the refactor, the configure coordinators will have API version and kind and name. and through the API version and kind and name, the developers will be able to get the group version resource for the add-on configurations. It will easy to locate the configuration. And for other case, we also want to add the configure coordinators in the managed cluster add-on. So when add-on has its own configure, the add-on can use this option to locate its configuration. And for our node selector and toleration case, we want to introduce add-on development configure to support this. And in this API, we will include node selector, toleration, and customized variables. This variables is a name value variable. And here is some example. For example, user can use this API to define the node selector and toleration for their add-ons. If users all add-ons share this configuration, the user can add the configure coordinators to the add-on cluster management add-on. Then the add-on can locate to this configuration. And if users add-on has own configure, the add-on can add the configure coordinators to the manage the cluster add-on. So for each add-on, it will has its own configuration. Because we modify the add-on API, so we need to consider the upgrade. For upgrade, we will deprecate the current options in the configure coordinators. Maybe in 1 or 2 release. And for add-on developers, they need to update their add-on implement to support this. And we also want to deprecate the managed cluster add-on values annotation, because if we have this configuration, user can use this to configure their add-on. So this is the option proposal 1. So any comments or suggestion?
Yeah, I think in your example, the API, the example API, it's not managed cluster add-on, but it is actually the add-on deployment.
Yeah. Here is an arrow. Yeah, it should be this API, add-on development config.
And
So
am I
is it-
understanding? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, is that the cluster scope resource or is namespace scope resource?
I think it's a cluster scope resource, because we want to use this in the cluster management add-on.
But in the managed cluster add-on, it is actually the reference is still cluster scope, though it could be a namespace scope.
Yeah, I think it's a cluster scope.
Okay.
Could you show like an existing example of the YAML using the old config coordinates?
Yeah, here is the add-on configuration. It's the configure coordinates. It have API version and name. So here is the definition.
Okay. And so each add-on would have its own CRD, which then can have the config coordinates. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so if you add a new type of configuration, would it be a different kind every time? Or would you just add on to that specific configuration CRD that you're proposing with the tolerations and node selectors?
Yeah, I think we need to modify the.
I think it could be both. Like you can use the region. So the deployment config part API is just a default API that you can use to set node selector, etc. But an add-on has another customized CRD, or for example, using the config map to configure. It could set it in the cluster, I mean, in the managed class on resources in the config coordinates. So that really depends on the add-on itself.
But it's up to each add-on, right, to support the config coordinates? Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. So I think maybe we can make this as a list to support this case. Do you think this is is reasonable? If we
are
have
making,
if we
Sorry,
have
go.
a list in here, maybe we can handle this case.
But I think refactoring that field into a list is not a non-trivial change. Actually, it's breaking the data plane compatibilities. So in Kubernetes, in order to solve the data compatibility issues, there's another feature named conversion API conversion webhook. So for example, when I had a CRD that needs to change drastically, then I am supposed to bump the API version from v1 alpha 1 to v1 to v1 beta 1, and the webhook is used for dealing with the conversion between v1 alpha 1 and v1 beta 1. For example, the conversion of Scala field and the list field should be handled by that webhook. If we are sticking with a single the v1 alpha 1 version, then it's hard to it's hard to preserve the data plane compatibilities, I think.
Yeah. I think this problem only for the cluster management add-on, right? And for manage the cluster add-on, because this is a new option, so I think the competitive will be covered. But for this, it's indeed it will be hard to handle.
I kind of don't think we should have the same coordinates structure in the managed cluster add-on spec, because I think setting it on the cluster management add-on makes sense, because cluster management add-on is a resource that is created by the add-on controller itself, just telling the user that which resource you can use to configure the add-ons. But I don't really think that in the managed cluster add-on spec, the user should set another different kind, which is different from the cluster management add-on resource. So maybe they can set a different name, but the same kind. But I will leave some comments here maybe later.
Okay.
I have another question about the configuration. So what if we have say we have two workloads in a manifest work? One is a deployment, and the another one is a replica set. Then I want that configuration only applies to that deployment. Is that feasible by this API? Because the second question is there's some third-party workloads APIs. For example, in the Kubernetes we have deployment replica set, but there's some more advanced API workload CRDs provided by other communities. So the pod template can be nested in different level. So if we want to apply that for example, the toleration and the resource requirement to that pod templates, how can we do that? Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I actually think the current this API cannot support this case. Like if you have multiple deployment and want to set different node selector. So I would think that this one is a just example API or a default API that can be used, but in a more sort of complicated case, the add-on may consider having their own CRD.
Yeah, if the add-on has a complex case, I think the add-on maybe has its own CRDs to handle its case, its own case.
Okay, I got it. This is the default add-on configuration for general purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I will clear this in this enhancement.
This yeah, I think this feature reminds me of the templates and override patterns in the KubeFed v2 project. So in the KubeFed, for example, the federated deployment API, we can set a global overall template, and in another override field we can enumerate all the expected overriding changes under a list. So yeah, I think what this add-on configuration API doing is really similar to that to the override thing is in the KubeFed.
Yeah, I think I will consider this. Yeah, it's a good suggestion. Maybe we can refer to it and consider it in this for this API. Okay, do we have any comments or suggestions for this part? No, I will go through the proposal 2. The proposal 2 is easy to implement, will be easy to implement. So currently we support to use the managed cluster value annotation to configure the add-on in the add-on framework. So to support configure the node selector and toleration, we propose introduce two annotations to help user to specify the node selector and toleration. And we will introduce two annotations for add-on. One is the node selector, and the other is the toleration. These two annotations value will has the well with the JSON format. And here is the design details. Currently, we have a function. We have a function get value from add-on annotations in our add-on framework. It returns a value object. The object is a map. The key is string, and the value is interface. So for add-on developers, it can use these value objects to render their add-ons with the Go template or home chart. And in this proposal, if one add-on has the node selector and the toleration annotation, we will enhance this method. In this method, we will merge them to the values object. And for add-on implementation, developers may use the agent add-on factory to build their add-ons. They will use with the get value function to render their add-on develops. For get value function, the developers can choose use these default functions or implement it by themselves to handle its special case. So for this proposal, I think we don't need to change the current API definitions, and for add-on developers can choose their add-on configuration implementation freely. But the cons here is because we use the JSON string, so it's hard to validate. And because we just use the annotation, so there seems that no upgrade problem. Yeah, this is the proposal 2. It's I think it's a easy implementation. It's easy for implementation.
Is the no selector and toleration annotation hard-coded, or the user can pick some other annotations? Sorry, I didn't really get a clear view of that from reading this proposal.
So do you mean user defined its own annotation?
This one is set by the user, so it's not hard coded, but user can allocate an add-on with a certain node selector. The problem, I think, also raised in the commands is this is error prone because it's a JSON string, so we cannot basically validate whether this one is right or wrong in the API level. In the controller, in the framework level, they can understand whether it's right or wrong, but not in the API level.
There's another question in chat. Are these proposal alternative, or would both potentially be implemented?
I think we will choose one options to implement.
Yeah, the reason is that we can have both, but the question is which one is really the source of truth. Like if you have annotations, both annotations and configuration set, which one really works? I actually think that maybe we can start with the easy implementation at first, if it's okay. But if we think it really needs a second one, we could have a transfer path from using the annotation to a separate API. But yeah, maybe that's just my thought. So
I have a complex feeling about extending more fields via annotations, because personally I think things under the annotations basically means they are experimental or temporary. As you can see in this proposal, the nested JSON, the structured station data are, it's hard to both visualize and modify. So I'm inclining to the first proposal a bit. By the way, there's a typo. Oh no, it's because in that annotation, that the key of the annotation is using the snake case using dash, but then no selector is camel case.
Yeah. Okay, I will correct it.
Any other feedback from anyone? Josh, do you have any comments regarding which proposal you would like to see get implemented?
No, I don't think I'm leaning either way at this point. I still need to keep reading and see, yeah. Because it doesn't quite answer the use case I had that I was asking Junjun about either earlier in the week. So I'm going to go through and I'll put some comments in the document as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Last call. Well, thank you, Wei Liu, and the rest of the community for discussing this proposal. Thank you for attending another Open Cluster Management community meetings. Take care, everyone. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hey, sorry to interrupt. But I'm just saying, I noticed there's a new member in this house, Nitish. So Nitish joined the OCM community by the OSPP program. He's physically located in India for now, and in the future, he's gonna working on building some observability add-ons based on add-on framework and contribute that into OCM communities. Nitish, do you wanna introduce yourself to us?
Hello everyone, myself Nitish. I am an undergraduate currently, so I will be working on the open tracing add-on in the coming OSPP season. So Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Hoping for a good season ahead. Thank you.
Welcome, Nidish. Thank you so much for joining the community, and we look forward to your great work. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Right.